Hey everyone, Jim Fitzpatrick. Thanks so much for joining us this morning. Today, we're diving into two insightful studies that shed light on customer satisfaction and feedback. Joining me now is Shep Hyken. You've seen him here before on CBT News and ASBN. Customer service, I should say he's a customer service and experience expert, New York Times and Wall Street Journal best-selling author. Shep, thank you so much for taking the time in your schedule to join us on the show to talk about these reports.
Well, it is great to be back. I'm excited to see you again.
Sure. So these special reports are related to topics covered in your 2024 State of the Customer Service and Customer Experience Study. Let's start with the dangerous customer. That sounds intriguing. So who is a dangerous customer?
Sure. Yeah. And by the way, those reports are available at no charge, and kind of excited to share it with the world. The dangerous customer is not the customer that comes into a place and is disruptive for any physical or even verbally abusive reasons. The dangerous customer is the one that you think is happy, but they never come back. And it's like, why wouldn't they come back? They never complained about anything. They seem friendly when we talk to them. Right. And there's a good reason is, you know, I always talk about the satisfied customer, that satisfactory isn't good enough. And the reason is they're just satisfied customers. Yeah. You know, the company's done nothing to go above and beyond to get the customer to say, the title of my recent book, and also the words that were made famous by the Terminator, I'll be back. Right. Isn't that what our customers to say?
That's right. That's right. Yeah, you want them to be raging fans of your product or service once they leave your company or showroom or what
raging
have you,
fans, raging fans or raving fans?
Or raving fans, right. Raging fans wouldn't be terrible.
That would be a dangerous customer.
That's right, that's right. Yeah. No, but that's the goal, right? You don't want, to your point, you don't want to just go, yeah, satisfied, because that leaves the door open for some other retailer that's going to come in and blow their socks off and say, wow, this was not only my satisfied, I'm completely blown away with your service or product.
And you don't need to be like over the top, blow me away, most incredible service I've ever had in my whole life to get the customer to want to come back. There's a bunch of different ways to go about it, which we can talk about in a moment, but I want to share with you what drove me to write this article, because I actually wrote a first version of this article years ago. Then I rewrote the article recently for the report and added a bunch of the stats and facts and findings to support it. So many years ago, Anthony J. Zahorik and Roland T. Russ, two professors at Vanderbilt University, did a study, and what they determined was that 25 to 40% of satisfied customers don't come back even if they're satisfied. And then they went on to say that, you know, industries like hospitality, a hotel, for example, that number gets higher. I mean, if you go to a hotel and you have a really bad experience, the room is dirty, the sheets are dirty, the bathroom, whatever it is, you know, and with all the choices, what's the likelihood that you're going to be a glutton for punishment and come back? So
that's right.
Same thing with restaurants and, like I say, hospitality. But I thought to myself, that's a fascinating stat. And I used to lead my keynote speeches opening with this idea that satisfactory isn't good enough. And I quoted the two professors. Now, in the last, I'm going to say 5, 6, 7 years or so, I have been doing my own research, and I reverse engineer the statistics and findings to come up with what I think the question is. And it took several years, but this year we asked a really important question, and I'm going to assume it's okay for me to share it with you.
Yep.
So, and that is, if you were to rate a customer experience on a scale of 1 to 5, where 1 is bad, 2 is fair, 3 is average or satisfactory, 4 is good, and 5 is excellent, how likely is it that you would return to this company again? And this was the question. I finally got it. We defined average, satisfactory, that's all it is. And 23% said, which is basically about 1 in 4, that they would likely not or ever come back to that company. And that blows my mind that, you know, they aren't unhappy, but they aren't totally happy. Right. And so our goal is to create the experience that makes people want to come back. Now, as I mentioned, you don't have to be over the top. It doesn't matter whether you're selling Cadillacs or cataract surgery, sofas or Subarus, as you and I were talking about.
That's right.
Love that. Cars or what was the other one? Cars or collectibles. I don't know.
That's right.
Blocks. So here's the point. You've got to create an experience that's better than average. Now, how much better than average does it have to be? the tiniest bit better, just a little bit better. But the key is to create a consistency so your customers say, well, I like going there. They're always so helpful. They're always knowledgeable. They're always friendly. By the way, those three things, knowledgeable, friendly, and helpful, are the three number one reasons customers do come back to a company. That's not about being over the top.
No.
Now, if there's a problem that falls in your lap, you get an opportunity. But,
That's right. That's right.
But that's what that one's about.
And today, with everybody that leaves and makes a recommendation or a review or what have you, it's so vitally important that a company and its staff and all of its employees are reading off the same sheet of music with regard to how to treat those customers that come in, right? Because you never know. Today's audiences have audiences, right? So when they come in, and they're going to share that, whatever it might be. And my wife, whenever we travel anywhere, maybe you do this too, write to TripAdvisor, because that's the real deal that you're going to get from the people that have experienced that either resort or hotel or restaurant, whatever the case might be. And I think we've got to be so cognizant of that all the time, right?
Right. So if you knew that your customer was going to leave a review on some review site, and by the way, it doesn't matter if it's business to business or business to consumer.
That's right.
There are forums where people communicate their experiences with either a brand or a vendor. So they're out there. If you knew for sure, how would you treat that customer?
Yeah.
Let's assume that even if you don't know, that customer has the capability of doing it. In the 1980s, many years ago, before you and I were even born, right? So there was a study done by the TARP, Technical Assistant Research Program, that was commissioned by the White House Office of Consumer Affairs. And they did similar studies. What they found was that if you have a bad experience, your customer could tell potentially up to 15 people.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, wow, that's a lot of people. Well, today it's different.
Oh,
why?
Yeah.
You mentioned the audience of the audience, right?
That's
the audience
right.
of the customer is anybody they have on social media.
That's right.
If I've got 200 friends or 2,000 friends,
Yeah.
and I post, I just had the worst experience.
That's
What's
right.
going to happen? Yeah, it's not going to go viral per se, although some complaints have gone viral.
Sure.
But you're going to be sharing that, and it's
Sure.
You never want to lose a customer.
But I've got a lot of friends. I'm sure you do too. In fact, you have a lot of followers. Where if you've got thousands of followers on LinkedIn or on X or on anything else, and you're sitting there in your airline seat and you got nothing better to do right now than to make those comments either about the airline or the restaurant you've just been to or the hotel or whatever the case might be. You are literally telling thousands of your friends that hold you in high regard, that's why they follow you, that there's got to be a better place. There's got to be a better way. These people have dropped the ball here. And it's just so vitally important, I think, that companies today are just so aware of that. To your point, if you knew that every single customer that comes in is going to be doing that, how would you treat them? I liken it to the restaurant critic, where you know that this is the restaurant critic that's coming into your restaurant, and of course everybody is focused on good service and a great meal and what have you because of that restaurant critic. Well, now we're all restaurant critics, right?
Yep. Yeah, to a degree. And I'll go a step further that, here's the way to think. And you nailed it when you said, you repeated something that I said, which I don't know if I've ever said it quite the same way as you articulated perfectly, which is, everybody has a voice now.
Yeah.
If we knew that they were going to leave that review, how would we act?
That's
Well,
right.
let's just look at it in an easier way. Customer loyalty people think about as a lifetime. Forget about it as a lifetime. Think about it as next time. And if you think about it next time, every time,
Yeah.
it could turn into a lifetime. And here's the question to ask yourself. You've got to train people to think this way. Right now, I'm in front of a customer. And by the way, it doesn't have to be a complaint or a problem. It could be just they've come in and I'm taking care of them the way I typically take care of every customer. Mm-hmm. But I want you to be asking this question over and over again. Is what I'm doing right now going to get that customer to come back the next time they need whatever it is that we sell?
Right.
Am I treating them a certain way? If it's a complaint or a problem, am I resolving it the right way? I'm not trying to win an argument. I'm trying to win the customer.
Yeah.
And so what am I doing right now to make sure they come back next time? And when you focus on the next time, every time, they start to come back. And you end up either with a regular repeat type customer, somebody who truly is loyal to you for the service and value that you bring them.
That's right. That's right. They like the old adage: the journey of 100 miles starts with one step, and that's kind of that. Just take one experience at a time,
Yeah.
and before you know it, they'll become just become lifetime customers of yours. I want to switch gears a little bit and talk about and take a closer look into the surveys that companies send to their consumers and their customers to get feedback from them. Talk to us about that, because I know that you've got some stats on that and some feelings about surveys.
So here's the biggest issue is companies are asking for feedback. Are they doing anything with the feedback? And one of the frustrating things customers experience, and one of the reasons they stop doing surveys, although I'll share with you several reasons, is that they feel that even though they've taken the time to leave the feedback, nothing is being done with it.
Right.
And how do they know that? Because they'll say, yes, please call me, I'll tell you more about it. And they never hear from the company. That's one indicator. Another reason customers are reluctant to fill out surveys is because of how many surveys they're getting.
Yeah.
They're getting survey fatigue. There's a company that I do business with on a very regular basis, 2 to 4 times a week on a busy week. Every single time they ask me to fill out their survey. And it's like, how many times do I have to fill this out?
Right.
100 times a year, 100 times a year.
That's
I'm not going to
crazy.
fill it out anymore. You've destroyed my desire to give you that feedback.
Right.
But here's some general findings. How often they complete surveys, customers. Get this. Are you ready?
Yeah.
I'll ask you. Wait, I don't know if you read this report or not.
I didn't.
Okay, good. What percentage of customers who receive a survey actually complete the survey?
It's probably low. It's probably like 10%.
Well, it's 14%. Very good. I think that's within almost the margin of error. It's actually 2%. And 4% said never. And under the right circumstances, though, they will. 67% said they don't complete surveys if they're too long.
Yeah.
Have you ever, true, you especially, I know that you've got a lot of people that listen to this who are in the automotive world.
Sure.
When I get my car serviced,
Yeah.
I end up, filling out a survey that takes almost as long as the oil change took.
It's unbelievable. It's so unbelievable. It really is. It's just, what survey I like? The one where you walk out of an airline bathroom and it's got, did you either like it or not like it? Real easy
the
survey.
Happy or not, right? There's like 3 buttons. It was a happy face,
Exactly.
average, or unhappy.
Right. I wish every survey was that way, but of course I understand they want to, drill down and find out what specifically didn't you like, or what did you like, or what did we do wrong here. But I agree with you. These surveys are crazy.
And your point, that bathroom survey that's 3 buttons, like, do you need any more information? Either the customers
Exactly.
But here's what's cool about that is that posts data. And what happens is when enough people hit the button, and by the way, you see them at TSA free or TSA airport security, where you're happy with the security, the line. So what they'll do is they'll say, when did we start to see all these bad, unhappy faces or happy faces come in? And then you tie it to the time, you find out who was on at that shift.
Oh,
so
wow.
You can start to learn a lot about who was controlling that experience. It's not just were they happy or sad or glad or mad or whatever. So there's really a lot of data that come from a very simple survey.
Sure.
Here's something, and I know you've experienced this. 55% of customers said company employees asked them in advance of receiving the survey to leave a positive or high rating. Now, it's one thing to ask them to fill out the survey if it comes, but begging them, because here's what they say: my job depends on it. My income depends on it. I get a bonus if I get a positive experience.
That's bad news.
I know. It's like begging for it. And I think people are turned off to it. Now,
They are.
to put, and I saw a hotel, please rate us on whatever, TripAdvisor. And if for some reason you are unhappy with this, please give us a chance to fix it before you walk out the door. Now, that's not a bribe. That's saying, by the way, I was being treated not as well as I felt like I should. And I just picked up the sign and I turned it around. I said, you do know this sign is right here. I can't remember what the reason was that this person was not doing their best job. But
Right. And it's, listen, it's tough today because obviously with a very, very low unemployment rate that we see, it's tough to get people in to work for your organization. It's even tougher to get, that top level individual that is really going to take, the time and understand the importance of taking good care of the company's customers that come in. It's just one of those situations where, my gosh, if you even call out an employee now, they're like, all right, see ya, we're going to another place and trying to get more money, per hour or what have you. It really is tough for companies out there, isn't it?
Well, so we're shifting to a whole nother area, which is, by the way, so important, and that is the employee experience.
Right.
It's where the customer experience starts.
Yes.
And if you can't keep good
Totally
people,
agree.
if you don't train them properly,
That's right.
if you don't empower them to do their jobs, if you don't coach and mentor them properly, if what you do is berate them and make them want to go somewhere else, that's what it is. Most people don't leave because of money. Yes, if you create a job that is focused on the hourly wage just to give somebody some money, they will look for 25 cents more an hour.
Yes, exactly.
However, if you've got a manager, a leader, somebody that's mentoring somebody, if you've got an opportunity to upskill an employee by teaching them new things and training them, they, in the right environment, they will stay forever. Brian Keeley, who last year retired as the CEO of Baptist Health South, which is a big health system down in Southern Florida.
Yeah.
He talked about something called destination employment. And his goal was, and by the way, think about how we treat our customers and want them to come back. We need to do the same thing for our employees. He said, let's create an experience that makes our employees never want to leave. Right. So when they come here, it's the last place they're ever going to work.
Yep.
And by doing that, employees are more engaged, more excited to work there, and obviously go out of their way to take care of customers.
There's no question about it. There's it's kind of that, I know it's used way too much, but it's kind of that Chick-fil-A scenario where, you've got these people, these young, great people that take good care of you, and you would think that they were stockholders in that particular location right there. And it's just amazing how they're able to do that. But then it's also interesting that companies that do go the extra mile in the employee satisfaction and make that a focal point, people then want to go to work there. Especially if they're customers. They're first a customer and then all of a sudden they're an employee, right?
And there's certain companies that really fit into that. I interviewed some people at the Container Store. You may know that as a retailer.
Yeah, sure.
Sells all those cool knickknacks.
Yep.
And one of the best recruitment areas for them is existing customers who are just looking for a few hours to work a week, time job, even a full time job.
That's right. There's no question about it. I agree. This is a whole nother show, and let's schedule that because it's so vitally important that companies understand that. The happier the customer, the happier the employee, the better the customer is going to be. So, Shep Hyken, customer service and experience expert, New York Times and Wall Street Journal best-selling author, an incredible speaker for those companies out there that are looking to really light up your next event and have your audience press that button, that happy button on the way out of your event. This is the guy that you want. So thank you so much, Shep. I really appreciate it.
It's great to be back. Thanks for having me.
Thanks.